What's up guys, my name is Chase Farrow and I am currently in a 5th gen Camaro SS, specifically a 2015 model. And in case you didn't see the thumbnail or you didn't read the title before you clicked on the video, this car is Procharged. It does have a few other modifications to kind of go along with that, but kind of the focal point is the fact that it's Procharged. And so since I have it, I want to take the opportunity to kind of give you a little bit of an insight on the driving experience of a 5th gen Procharged Camaro and maybe help answer some questions that any of you might have about whether or not you should or shouldn't do this kind of modification to your car. So without further ado, let's go. Now, this car belongs to a good friend of mine, Tyler, who you have either seen or will see in my videos if you've watched any of the others. Like I said, this is a Procharged 2015 Camaro. It has the LS3 6-speed TR6060, and it has a few other modifications to go with it. Now, the reason I do have this car is because he did just have a McLeod RXT clutch put in it. I went with him. We went to pick it up last night from our buddy Esteban, who did the clutch, and he left it with me for a day or so because I live here in the city. I live in Frisco, and it's easier to get in break-in miles in the city than it is on the highway, because when you're breaking in a clutch, ideally you do want to be shifting and stopping and starting and, you know, actually getting the clutch broken in. Highway miles don't really do a whole lot for a clutch break-in. So I figured while I had it, I would go ahead and I would make a quick video talking about the overall driving experience of the car and maybe answer some questions that some people may have about whether or not they should or shouldn't do something like this to their 5th gen Camaro. So right off the bat, this has a Procharger P1SC kit on it. This is the upgraded kit. So it has the 60-pound injectors and the boost to pump and something else I want to say, I just cannot remember off the top of my head. It does have the 8-pound pulley, so this car is on 8 pounds of boost, and that's good for right about, if I remember correctly, somewhere in the ballpark of 550 to 600 wheel horsepower. So it's not a crazy amount of horsepower by today's standards especially, but I mean, it's still damn quick. It's still going to be quicker than most other cars you're going to come across on the road. And the best part is it's extremely quick while also being extremely drivable and comfortable. So outside of that, that's really the only power adders that this car, or power adder that this car has. It doesn't have exhaust, it doesn't have an intake manifold, it doesn't have heads, no cam, nothing. This is just straight up 2015 Camaro that has a Procharger P1SC slapped on it. It does have some other modifications, but none of those are power related. It has some Silver's Neomax coilovers, which are pretty much the same setup that I have in my 2002 CO6, which I did the video about a couple of weeks ago. It has the MRR Z28 style wheels, which look fantastic, and an MGW flat stick short shifter, or short throw shifter. So let's address the question of comfort and drivability and just the overall experience when you're just kind of cruising along and running errands, much like I am right now. It's comfortable even with the stiffer Silver's Neomax coilovers, and being about, I want to say it's about 1.5 inches lower all around, but it's just as comfortable to drive as a normal 5th gen Camaro. Of course, it does still have the normal 5th gen Camaro issues, the largest of which is the absolutely abysmal visibility, and I hate the factory clutch pedal on the 5th gen Camaro because of the shape of the footwell. It feels like they had to put the clutch pedal further forward and like on a pivot, so it's got this like kind of like you feel it rotate, and there's this point where it rotates where it's like stiffer than it is where it's stiffer than I'm sorry, there's a woman I just drove by, and she's cruising down the sidewalk on one of those little mini pink Barbie scooters, like motor scooters, like a little Barbie moped looking thing, and This is a grown woman. She looks like she's in her 40s or so. She's got a headset on, like she works at a call center, and she's just mobbing down the sidewalk and on this little, that's awesome, on this little children's moped. Anyways, so I've got to kind of get back to where I was. I don't even remember what I was talking about now. The factory clutch pedal and the footwell. Yeah, so it's got a pivot point, and so it's not the factory clutch pedal. When you press it, it doesn't require a consistent amount of pressure. You can feel a very distinct rotation point, and I just really don't like that. Not to mention, because I'm used to being in a more track seating position where I'm a bit closer to the wheel. I'm over 6 foot. I'm 6'1", and so it means that I have to bend my left leg a lot because the clutch is so far forward, and so it's just not very comfortable on my shin. But other than that, I mean, that's just kind of a nitpicky thing. And for Tyler, he's a little bit shorter than me, and it's not an issue for him. So that's a me thing, not really a this car is terrible thing. Outside of that, so the exhaust that's on it is completely stock. It has the stock headers, stock mid-pipe, stock axle back. It has, if I remember correctly, it's called the MPP exhaust, which means it has the valve in it that you can open and close and change, so it sounds more aggressive and has a bit more volume. Hold on, I've got to fix this real quick. It has the valve in the exhaust that allows you to kind of change the volume and stuff like that. Now this one, if I remember correctly, it's just unplugged, so it's always open. But even then, it's not too loud in here. I don't have to yell over the car. I don't even have to speak any louder than I normally do. You can carry on a conversation with the passenger just fine. You can listen to the radio just fine. I mean, really, you can, if you have the AC on and you're listening to the radio, you can barely hear it. So now, for anyone who's not familiar with what exactly a Procharger, or more specifically a centrifugal supercharger, is and how it works, it's a form of supercharger that, unlike a traditional screw-driven supercharger that pulls in air and compresses it using screws inside of the housing that's mounted usually on top of the motor, like a Magnuson or a Whipple, it pulls in and compresses air more like a turbo. Now it does still run, it is still a supercharger, so it does still run off of a system of belts and pulleys, but it has a compressor housing that looks more like a turbo. So if you're not familiar with them, they can easily be mistaken for a turbo, but it's not. In my opinion, I think a Procharger, or rather, a centrifugal supercharger, because that's actually what it is. Procharger is just the brand or the manufacturer. In my opinion, I think a centrifugal supercharger sounds cooler. Instead of having a whine, it has somewhat of a whistle, but not quite like a turbo. And when you're just cruising along, it sounds like you've got a jet engine accompanying your, well, in this case, 6.2 liter LS3. The only drawback to it is that because of the way that it pulls in and compresses air, it doesn't have the same low end that, say, a Root style supercharger would. So it doesn't spool as quickly and it doesn't build boost as quickly. However, it does still build boost and spool faster than pretty much any turbo, which on one hand is a little bit of a drawback, but there is a flip side to that, and that is a Procharger is generally capable of producing more boost than most Root style superchargers. So it does come with a benefit. And in my opinion, another benefit is the fact that on a car like this, because it's a modification, this isn't how it came stock, it doesn't feel any different than when you're not in boost. It doesn't feel any different than it did when it came out of the factory. For all intents and purposes, as far as power goes and drivability goes, it feels like a stock Camaro SS until you get on it. It doesn't sound like a stock Camaro SS, but it feels like one. one of the other cool little things, and this is just me because I'm more of a turbo guy, is you do get a blow-off valve with when you go with the centrifugal supercharger, so you get to listen to those fun or noises, and I'm a big fan of that. Now, once again, since we are doing the break-in miles, I really can't just thrash it, but we're pretty good into our break-in period. Everything feels good, so I'll do a little pull so you can kind of hear what I was talking about with the exhaust, and you can hear the supercharger as it spools. Oh, that's good. That's nice. That's really nice. So I think I'm going to go ahead and end off there, because I think I've said just about all there is to say about it. Just to kind of just to put a bow on it and answer the question that I posed in the thumbnail: should you Procharge your 5th gen Camaro? The answer is definitely yes, because there's really nothing, you don't lose anything with it. You don't lose any drivability, you don't lose any comfort, and what you do gain is a significant amount of power. You gain a lot of, a significant amount of fun when driving the car, and yeah, I mean, that's really it. So yeah, that's I'm gonna go ahead and end that there, and until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye.